Welcome to this meeting of Assembly Committee on Education for the 2023 legislative session. Secretary, will you please call roll?
Assemblywoman Anderson.
Present.
Assemblyman De Silva.
Here.
Assemblywoman Hanson.
Here.
Assemblywoman Hardy.
Here.
Assemblyman Koenig.
Here.
Assemblywoman LaRue Hatch.
Here.
Assemblyman MacArthur.
Here.
Assemblywoman Mosca.
Here.
Assemblywoman Taylor.
Present.
Assemblywoman Thomas.
Here.
Assemblywoman Torres.
Here.
Chair Bilbray Axelrod.
Here, we are all here. So welcome to everyone in Carson City. We have a full house today. And for those joining by video conference in Las Vegas, I see somebody there. And those listening over the internet or watching on our YouTube channel. Just a reminder, and I have to do this myself, silence all your things that make noise. Sometimes I'll have a Zoom meeting right before this and then forget to silence it. So anything that goes beep, please silence. If you wish to testify, please sign in by the table by the door. And if you could give a business card to our committee secretary, that would be most helpful. Let's see. I lost my, oh, it's on the back. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and any affiliation for the record. Then turn the the microphone each time you're done speaking. We asked for 20 handouts for the members of the public, and you should also submit those electronic copies. We asked for 24 hours before committee. We expect courtesy and respect in our interactions. We might not always agree. That doesn't mean we can't be nice to each other. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Don't view this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. With that, let's get started. We're going to hear two bills. They are going out of order. We will begin with the hearing on Assembly Bill 150, and then we'll hear AB 118, which I think a lot of you are here for. Please note that I'll be limiting testimony to 20-minute windows for each bill, so we'll take 20 minutes support, 20 minutes of opposition, and 20 minutes of neutral. I will now open the hearing on AB 150. This measure revises provision governing the waivers of certain fees by the Board of Regents to the University of Nevada. To present this measure, we have our own Assemblywoman Anderson, and please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair Bilbray Axelrod, Vice Chair Taylor, and members of the Assembly Education Committee. My name is Natha Anderson, and it is my honor to represent Assembly District 30. I refer to that as the heart of the Truckee Meadows. However, I realize there's a few people that are on this committee that might disagree with me, so we'll just stick to Sparks. Today, I am joined by Marky Wilder of the University of Nevada, Reno, to present AB 150, which proposes changes to NRS 396.5449. As stated in a letter that was sent to each of you, and I think you received this morning, you should have received it Monday, but man, that snowstorm messed us up. The proposed changes are based upon a numerous number of discussions that I've had with tribal students, leaders, and educators from the Nevada system of higher education. First, I want to touch upon the success that we had. And when I say we, I mean our body. We passed this last session, and it was almost unanimously. Of notable success, and we found this out last Thursday, there are 140 students that are now attending either a community college or a university because of this waiver. As I believe it was Chancellor that brought that forward. We've been able to take away a small portion of the financial concerns that face many first-time students. And finally, there's the recognition of a strong tribal nation. As Chair Arlen Melendez, the chair of the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, stated in our 2021 presentation, when tribal nations are strong, then the state of Nevada is strong also. There's a reciprocal sharing of knowledge, which is a win-win for the university and the tribes as we try to help each other to make the state of Nevada and our country a better place. Many of the universities and community colleges have worked on helping students navigate the difficulties of applying for school and also staying in school. With Chair Bilbray Axelrod's permission, I would like to ask Marky to continue as she works daily with our students I'd have asked her to kind of prepare just a 4-minute, 5-minute discussion about some of the difficulties that she's experienced, that some of our students have experienced, as well as the successes. Chair, if I may? Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Natha Anderson and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Marky Wilder, and I am here today on behalf of the University of Nevada, Reno to show our support for the proposed amendments brought forward by Assemblywoman Natha Anderson. For the last 3 years, I have served the University of Nevada, Reno's Multicultural Center as the coordinator for Indigenous Student Services. This role focuses on retention, persistence, and graduation services and programs. This role inherited the labor of the Native American fee waiver. In the first year of implementation, the University of Nevada, Reno had the largest number of students within the Nevada system of higher education utilizing the Native American fee waiver with 72 students, so over half, or a little under half. In the initial eligibility process, my role made sure they submitted all appropriate documents, which included proof of tribal membership or a letter of descendancy from a Nevada federally recognized tribe. If a student did not have proof of their tribal enrollment or descendancy, I helped connect them to their tribe's enrollment departments to help attain appropriate documentation. Once all materials and applications were submitted, I would hand off to our wonderful team that consists of the registrar, financial aid, admissions and records, and the cashier's office. They handled all logistics pertaining to the Native American fee waiver. If there were or are any issues or barriers, I would work closely with the student to help resolve. In the first cohort of students that utilized the Native American fee waiver, the challenges of implementation became very apparent. First, it was the residency requirement, that they must be residents of the state of Nevada. Students that were enrolled members of our Nevada tribes but lived in Oregon, Idaho, Utah, and California were excluded. For example, our families in Oahe, although enrolled in Oahe but had residency in Idaho, a few miles over the Nevada border, could not utilize the waiver. The next challenge we faced is the self-supported courses and the state-supported courses. Assembly Bill 262 says it can only fund state-supported courses. We had students that were eager to take the online Pearson graduate courses for business, public health, social work, and other programs. Majority of these programs are exclusively online and make sense for our educators who are living in our rural communities and cannot access our actual campus. These students enrolled excited about the Native American fee waiver and later found out that the waiver would not cover their tuition and expenses were all on them. Another challenge that was very defeating for our Indigenous students was that Assembly Bill stated our students must be degree seeking. This included our families and communities that want to take some of the certificate programs NSHE offers. For example, our tribal communities' Head Start programs, Native teachers, they could not qualify for the waiver to get an early childhood certificate of achievement. And this is a course at WNC because that program is not degree seeking. So my child's Indigenous teacher could not get a certificate in education. One of the last challenges that I bring forward is the waiver being used as the last dollar in. The students that need this waiver the most are getting the least amount of dollars towards their tuition. For example, a student with an estimated family contribution of 0 who would get $6,000 in financial aid, all of those federal dollars would go first towards their tuition and then the waiver applied after. Thus, these students do not see any of their FAFSA scholarships that has traditionally helped pay for books, housing, or food. And so our students in the higher socioeconomic status, they get no federal dollars from their FAFSA, so majority of their tuition was covered with this waiver. As you have noticed, there have been many challenges, but I am happy to be here today to present and give reason to the necessary changes. We are so thankful for Assemblywoman Natha to keep you and our involved in the conversations. Before I end, I would like to share some highlights of this waiver. In the Multicultural Center, we have the honor of hosting an Infinity Grad celebration in the fall for all of our students and in the spring as well. We have students graduating, Indigenous students graduating with big plans to give back to our community or continue on to their education into graduate school. It has been so amazing to see the power of this waiver that it has given to our future generations. Our community will have more Indigenous doctors, Indigenous lawyers, Indigenous psychologists, Indigenous social workers, all working for our tribal communities. My favorite success story is of my colleague Carrie M., known today as Dr. Carrie M. of the Walker River Paiute tribe. She was able to utilize this waiver for the last few semesters of her doctoral degree at UNR. Now, we have students who look up to her and see that she can be a doctor, they can too, especially because of the accessibility of this waiver. This waiver is an investment to our future generations for Indigenous people of the Great Basin. Our Indigenous students are now able to bring their research, traditional knowledge, and can share it with our institutions to help make Nevada a better place. Thank you for this time.
So with the chair's permission, I'd like us to walk through the bill, if I may. I'm actually going to
And
walk.
you're going to do the amendment?
Yes,
Thank you.
I will
Perfect.
be utilizing the amendment that I gave. And by the way, this is Assemblymember Anderson. The information that came from Nevada System of Higher Education, I have not had a chance to sit down and talk with them as much since it came in this morning. However, I believe many of the issues are addressed in it, and so I'm looking forward to that conversation. So what I will be walking through is actually the language that I presented, that is the N. Anderson proposed conceptual changes. So the first item that I'd like to add in is to recognize, and if you take a look at the map that was provided to you as well, many of the tribal lands go beyond our state borders. And so we have individuals who are members of the tribe who are part of the tribal culture, and yet they do not live in Nevada by just 2 miles. They still go to a Nevada school. And so this way we would be able to allow that. So if you take a look at the map, you'll see in particular there's the Duck Valley area up around Idaho. There's an area right around California, and then also there's an area around the Arizona-Nevada border as well, where we have students that want to come to the University of Nevada, but they live actually in Arizona, or they live actually in Idaho, based upon the tribal land they live upon. So that is one item as to why I'm bringing forward that the language of members and descendants of members of federally recognized Native American tribes who do not otherwise meet the criteria of the subsection and who currently reside on tribal lands located wholly or partially within the boundaries of the state of Nevada. So then that way we're able to address that very issue. This language is also much more consistent with the Nevada System of Higher Education language, and this actually was proposed by them earlier this month, or last month. The second item that I'd like to change has to do with making a change that the tuition waiver, it's under number 2, may be utilized for all programs, including dual credit courses for our high school students, summer classes, winter classes, non-degree courses, and it is reported as online. I think I had a little bit of a typo. It should actually be self-supporting programs, of which there are 9 at this time. Those self-supporting programs are oftentimes online, and so we are unable to get those fees covered at this time. I realize, again, that Nevada System of Higher Ed has proposed an amendment. I have not had a chance to really look through it at this time, but I'm looking forward to the discussion with them to be able to continue to discuss this. Number 3, I'd like to remove any sort of mention of FAFSA. At this time, I believe that Marky did an excellent job of bringing up why. It's become a barrier. We literally had a tribal leader who simply wanted to take a class and was told, you can't do this because of FAFSA. You have to have only degree-seeking classes, or only degree-seeking programs, and that is not the point. The other issue that was coming forward with FAFSA, it was hurting the people that needed it the most. So because what would happen is the FAFSA money would come in, take away the tuition, and then that other money the students would still be required to pay the additional fees, as opposed to being able to use the FAFSA in a different fashion. So that requirement at this time I am requesting to take away. However, again, I realize that Nevada System of Higher Education has proposed an amendment, and I'm looking forward to those discussions to be able to continue to fix that. The last 2, or number 4, if a student has lived in Nevada for at least a year, graduates from a Nevada high school, and is enrolled in any federally recognized Indian tribe or nation, or a descendant of a member of any federally recognized Indian tribe or nation, the waiver shall be granted. We have numerous students who attend our schools who are self-identified as Native American, yet the tribe that they come from might be Wisconsin. It might be Indiana. I have a student this year who transferred into my class late, and we were talking about some things, and she had just moved from Wyoming, and her mother was a member of one of the nations there. And so she was like, well, does this work for me? And I said, I don't believe it does right now, but let's try to find something that does. And we were able to find 1 or 2 programs that could help her in other states. I believe that Nevada graduates should be able to get this. If you live in our state for a year, if you're a Nevada graduate, we should be able to help you out. And then finally, I am asking for funding. There are some individuals who believe that there are some possible matching funds that are available, and I am more than happy to start searching for those and try to find some ways to actually match the funds. Because if we can leverage this and help our students attend our higher education, how much better can we be as a state and also as a nation? I realize the funding at $450,000, that is what it currently costs, and so that's why I utilize that number. In closing, I would actually like to bring forward the words of a TMCC student who's planning on becoming an elementary school teacher. Her name is Alyssa Sweet. I've never met Miss Sweet. She is a descendant of the Lovelock Paiute tribe, but her words are from an article in the Nevada Current, which was written by Jennifer Solis. This is a direct quote from Miss Sweet. The only reason I'm able to go to the university is because of this waiver, and it's because I'm Native. It makes me feel good about who I am. Without the fee waiver, I honestly would have had to drop out this semester. I've been having a lot of financial issues, and I can't rely on most help. Sweet continued, this has been life-changing for me just because I can rely on something else, something I know that's going to be there. End of quote. Thank you for this opportunity in presenting AB 150. I'm looking forward to our discussions, and I think we're both available for any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Assemblywoman Anderson. And it's always nice to see people who bring bills forth that they're so passionate about, and that's clearly the way you feel. So, and our Native students, thank you for that. Committee, do we have questions? Okay, 1, 2, 3. None down here. One, okay. All right, let's do this. We'll start with Assemblywoman Torres.
Thank you for this bill. I appreciate it. Just a couple clarifying things or recommendations, really. So, I obviously, I understand the need for us to allow for individuals that are applying for certificate programs to receive it, but I hope that we can work towards a solution that allows for qualified, degree-seeking students to continue to mandate that they apply for that FAFSA, because it'll allow for this money to go more places, so that we can continue to fund more and more students that would be eligible for the scholarship. That's one thing. And I didn't hear in your presentation any discussion regarding dual credit programs, but I'm just wondering if you can kind of touch on that, because I don't believe that was a part of the presentation this morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Assemblymember Torres. Thank you for the question. Assemblymember Anderson, by the way, for the answer. It is one of my items. It is not specifically mentioned as dual credit. However, one of the items that I do have from my proposed language is under number 2, the tuition waiver may be utilized for all programs, including dual credit courses. Those would be for our high school students who are able to also attend college at the same time. That is my intention, is to make sure that those are included as well, is to make sure that our dual credit courses are part of being covered as well, because currently they are not, and they should be.
Thank you. And I'd be happy to take this conversation offline, though, but because I do have some questions regarding that, because dual enrollment students enroll through the high school. So I'm just wondering how that would work when the student, they often enroll late. They'll enroll kind of at the beginning of that semester. And I'm just wondering what that process would look like through the Nevada Department of Education and for high schools that are enrolling those students in those programs. And I do have concerns that because this would require them to go through entry, I just want to make sure it's consistent and that those students wouldn't have to apply a semester ahead of time. I don't know what the current process is for students to receive these funds, but if they do have to apply significantly earlier than that semester, they might not be eligible for those funds. And I want to make sure that they would be able to receive it immediately. Also, students we need to make sure that schools know that this program exists, and would be able to claim that for their students, because I know it's indicated on the education system, like Infinite Campus, but I think that would really be on the school leaders to have access to.
Assemblymember Anderson, completely agree and more than happy to work with you on how we can elevate this program for our dual credit students. Thank you so much.
Next, we'll go to Vice Chair Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to my colleague, Assemblywoman Anderson, and also to Assemblywoman Torres, because my question is also surrounding dual credit in that, and I think those will be good conversations to have, and they should be able to, because dual credit already exists, they should be able to do something going through the existing program, which should be helpful, and then just make sure those things are taken care of. My question was, if there's do you have any idea at all of how many of our Native students in the state already take dual credit? Do we have any history or record of that at all, maybe from our school district or maybe from the university, and just so we have an idea of how many students might this might help. I know dual credit is growing like crazy across the board and across the state, which I think we all think is wonderful because that gets us more college grads, but I'm wondering if you have any information on that.
Assemblymember Anderson, thank you so much. Assemblymember Taylor, agree 100%, trying to figure out, I think I know who to ask in most districts, as well as in the university setting, so we'll get that information, and if not, we'll continue to ask for it and make sure that the entire committee gets that. Because agree.
Assemblyman Anderson, follow up with me. I can get that for you.
Never mind. I will be speaking with the chair to get that information
Thank
for
you.
you.
Because I was just about to phone a friend and say, can you help? So,
Thank you. I don't have that in front of me, though, but
Okay,
thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Hanson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your conceptual amendment that you are including Fort McDermott in Humboldt County, which is over the border, and also Oahe, which goes over into Idaho as well. So I appreciate you trying to catch that. Could you explain to us, it's been a while to understand the fees at the university or the college system in general. What fees are we talking would be covered, maybe what fees aren't? And I'm going to hear the answer, and then I'm excused for a quick meeting, and then I'll be back in for the rest of the hearing.
Great. Thank you for the question, Assemblymember Hanson. This is Assemblymember Anderson. I'm so sorry, through the chair to Assemblymember Hanson. I only have a small listing of just a few of the fees. The fees that this would cover is only the per credit, because that's all that we can cover with it. The items, I have this from the fall 2020, because from last time we were doing it. There are other fees that are required of students, and I will just go through a few of them. This is nowhere near, I do not believe this is all of them. And this, I believe, is for the University of Nevada in Reno. I can find the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and also get them to you. There's an undergraduate student surcharge per credit of $6. There's an ASUN fee per credit. There's a technology fee per credit. There's a health center fee, which is if you're taking more than 6 credits. There's a counseling service fee, which is if you're taking more than 6 credits. Performing arts fee, which I believe is only if you are in performing arts, but I've got to double check that. If you're taking fewer than 4 credits, then there's a different student union fee. There's a fitness center fee, which was voted upon by the students, and there is an academic success fee. If you're a first-time student, you also have other type of fees, including a new student fee, which is the first semester of enrollment, an online learning fee. Students have attempted credits equal to 150% of their credits are given a different one. So there are some other differential fees and lab fees that are directly attached to the major that you have decided to go into. For example, nursing. There's a differential fee of 156, or engineering. It's 85 per credit. I mean, so there's some differential fees as well that are part of it. So this bill, though, would only be able to pay for the per credit fee.
Here, just a quick follow-up. Thank you. Wow, it's that's exhaustive, but it's not even the complete list. So maybe at some point, maybe when I'm out of the room, if somebody wanted from NSHE could address fees, if that were possible, I would like to understand a little bit more that whole layer of the fee structure. Having been to Ledge Commission last night and the audits on NSHE, really would like to know a little bit more about the fee structure. I know that's not your deal, but just to put it on the record.
I
and-
think we will have someone
Thank
talking
you.
about that, I
Great.
believe, yes. I'm getting a nod.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so I know that we have Assemblyman Koenig has a question, Assemblyman De Silva, Assemblywoman Moscow. Is that it? Okay, so we'll go right down the line. Assemblyman?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question. You earmarked $450 for that. Is $450,000 for that? Is that what the current program costs, or is that you're expecting an additional $450 on top of that?
And just a reminder that we are a policy committee. We just want to see if this is good policy.
So, okay, I don't need numbers specific. I just was.
Thank you for bringing that up, and I'll try to skirt around the policy funding thing for you. At this time, there is no money coming from the general funds for this. This is something that is being funded currently, being mandated by the legislature, but is not being funded by the legislature. By the way, that was Assemblymember Anderson. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Assemblymember and Ms. Wilder. Was it again a excellent presentation? I just had one quick point of clarification. So this is this would be a true tuition waiver across the board now, not just undergraduate programs, but also doctoral programs, JDs, professional degrees, so on and so forth. Correct?
Assemblymember Anderson, thank you so much for bringing that up. Assemblymember De Silva, this has always been for everything, whether it is for a 2-year AA or even for a professional development certificate, such as a child care certificate, or up to JD as well as MD. Any program that is offered by the Nevada System of Higher Education, it should be covered.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for this presentation. If we could get, I'm sure it's okay if we don't have it now, but any of the persistence data to show the impact, as well as if we have specific numbers on young people who were not able to actually access it because of these different barriers.
Assemblymember Anderson, thank you for bringing up the data. I'm able to get how many people are able to access it. The difficulty for me is I can easily put out a call to different tribal areas and different leaders. The hard thing is there are so many people that we don't know that have not come forward to tell us that. I can ask and I can request the information and do my best to get that information for you. Most of the information might come back anecdotally. For example, again, there was a tribal leader that said, I didn't qualify because it wasn't this. It's that sort of stuff that might happen, so just that way we've got a little bit more anecdotal information for you if you think that would work. More than happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, I'll have you sit back, and then we are going to open it up to support. Anyone in the room, I will remind you, we're going to do 20 minutes of support, 20 minutes of opposition, 20 minutes in neutral for both bills. So if you are in support of the bill, please fill up the chairs. And Interim Chancellor, if you could also address, perfect, thank you. All right, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Jennifer Lanahan on behalf of the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. We want to thank Assemblymember Anderson for bringing this bill forward, and we are in full support. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, I'm Dale Urquiaga, the Acting Chancellor of the Nevada System of Higher Education. Madam Chair, I will try and be as brief as I can out of respect for the others, recognizing that my office will be working with Assemblywoman Anderson on the conceptual amendment provided to her and the questions that I've heard today. So let me try to just do a couple quick ththings. One, INSHE is happy to support this fee waiver. I will also let you know that there are additional fee waiver bills coming in your House to your committee. And so my request of this body is that you involve us in the conversation so that these bills are treated equally, and so that if we have a programmatic decision and implementation in one bill, we do the same thing. Because what you heard is some of the challenges with implementation of a program like this across my institutions. I have 7 institutions. Some of those institutions have someone who can be dedicated to this, most do not. And so the person who does it might also handle financial aid. Well, grants and aid are completely different from this, and hence the confusion over FAFSA and what is degree seeking and where does FAFSA play. So my request of you, Chair, is that we, as we continue to work with the Assemblywoman and as I am working with other bill sponsors, that we kind of all come together with these measures. Just a few points that I think are important from the INSHE perspective that allow us to support this. One, this kind of fee waiver, this one in particular, is an access mission for us. You have heard me in this committee speak about that. We do very strongly support the clarifications around residency. From our perspective, there must be a nexus to Nevada residency, high school graduation, or geography. We understand the boundaries of the tribal lands versus the boundaries of the state territory. So we're with you there. We very strongly support residency. In this bill, in its original passage in the last session, the FAFSA application was placed first, so it's first dollar. There is another fee waiver program adopted by the Board of Regents, and I should say the Vice Chair, Joe Arascata, is in the room today. He is my boss. Shame on me for not saying that first. That program, the FAFSA, is last dollar, and so we seek to standardize that as well. It was pointed out to me in a meeting by, I think, someone who's here today. And so my staff would like to work with the bill sponsors to be sure that we are, again, applying those uniformly. And then the issue of degree seeking. This bill used originally language about program. Well, in my world, that means a thing. And the FAFSA application requires degree seeking. And so those terms mean something to someone who sits behind a registrar's desk or at a financial aid desk. We have our own language in higher ed. I've been here 8 months and it's mostly Greek to me still. So we really want to work with the committee and the sponsors to be sure that we are standardizing that language when we talk about degree, when we talk about program, when we talk about state supported. We recognize it causes hiccups. But that leads me to a financial question, and if I can speak about the policy of funding, Madam Chair, and not about dollars, I will do that. It is, in my view, appropriate for the legislature to mandate that the board waive fees on state-supported courses. You give us a set amount of money, weighted student credit hours per state-supported courses. We have dozens, if not hundreds, of self-supporting courses. You've heard about online courses, so let's say it's a master's degree in social work that's done online. That course has a designed budget based on how many students attend it. It doesn't get any state money. So with due respect to the body, you waiving fees in that bucket, which are under the jurisdiction of the board separate from your jurisdiction over the board, kind of rubs us and the lawyers in a scratchy place, I will be candid. And so what I'd like to do is work with the bill sponsors on differentiating state-supported programs versus self-supported programs. That is not to exclude self-supported programs from the benefit here. This body could mandate that the board provide waivers in that space over which they have control. And then lastly, what I have said to the Assemblywoman, I appreciate her suggestion of an appropriation. My institutions absorb this cost. It's not a grant. There's no money. They take the money from somewhere else. You've heard me say that means they likely take it from another student. And so I think we could come together to create a program where the state might, by policy, provide funding, and the board might, by policy or fee, provide funding. So I'll give you one example. The largest financial grant and aid program in this state is the Regents Opportunity Award Program. About 25% of that money, it used to be more, is state money. The rest is student money. So I'll say that again. The largest financial aid program in the state is funded by students to help other students. I have all kinds of feelings about that, but I offer that as an example of a way in which the Board of Regents has, I think, rightly worked out a blended mechanism given the complexities of what our budget looks like. So I probably have talked too much, Madam Chair, but my commitment is to work with the sponsors, all the sponsors, those on this committee and those, I know there is another assembly person who has a bill, to make these fee waivers work both for the very deserving students and for my institution so that they can continue to provide these programs in the future.
Thank you. That must be a UNR 2 minutes. Thank you, I
got nothing.
And I appreciate every comment you made, and I did let you go because I think these are important conversations, because you're absolutely right. I see what's coming over in the Senate, and so just having uniform language is going to help. But from now on, we are gonna limit to 2 minutes. But thank you. Go ahead.
Renee Davis, Interim Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs. I just wanted to add one thing, which to Assemblywoman Moscow, we do have some early persistence data that we're going to be sharing with the board next week, and so we'll share that with you as well, and for the whole committee. Thank you.
Kent Irvin, Kentervin, Nevada Faculty Alliance. We support AB 150 for all the reasons already stated, probably soon to be stated, and those provided in our written public comment by Professor Doug Unger. In general, we can be more enthusiastic in support of fee waivers to deserving populations if they are funded through some sort of state reimbursement mechanism or matching grants. Thank you. That was an NFA 2 minutes.
Now for a UNLV 2 minutes. For the record, my name is Annette Magnus, and I'm the Executive Director of Battleborn Progress. We are here today in strong support of AB 150. We thank the Assemblywoman for her continued work on this issue. We supported the bill last session, and we are proud to continue to support this in 2023. These updates just make sense, and anything we can do to make higher education or continuing education easier and more accessible to our Indigenous communities across the state is the right thing to do. Please pass this common sense measure. Thank you.
Chris Daly, Nevada State Education Association. We also are in support of AB 150. We supported, I think, virtually AB 262 last session. I want to make sure that any implementation issues are worked out to expand opportunities for our Native American students. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Marla McDade Williams, speaking today on my own behalf. I just want to go on record in support of the proposal from Assemblywoman Anderson, as well as extend my appreciation to Chancellor Urquiaga for being willing to come forward and work with the bill sponsor to make this better. It has benefited so many people, so many students. Somebody got an email yesterday and they emailed me in a panic thinking that the state of Nevada was trying to undo the waiver process, and they were really upset. And so I'm trying to explain, to people who've never really had access to this system how it works. And so it really is making a difference for people, and just look forward to this continuing to move forward. Thank you.
Hi, Morgan Biselli with Silver State Government Relations. I'm here on behalf of Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe. We appreciate the bill that was brought forward by Assemblywoman Anderson, and we support this bill.
Assemblywoman Shea Backus, for the record, I'm in complete support of this bill. I had the proud opportunity to speak in support of it in 2021, and you guys did a great job with that bill, and this amendment makes it even better. So ditto to what everyone has said previously and to come.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, good afternoon. Anthony Ruiz with Nevada State College. We're proud to support this bill. I think what we like the most is that it's a student-centered bill. It takes existing law and makes some changes to make it easier, and hopefully will bring more students into our higher education system, and hopefully at Nevada State College. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, for the record, I'm Constance Brooks representing UNLV, the second most diverse institution in the country. We appreciate the attention paid to underserved populations on our campus. We thank Ms. Anderson for her efforts, and also we thank the system of higher education for their amendment. We look forward to working both with the system as well as with Ms. Anderson for refinement opportunities. In particular, our enrollment management team would appreciate working closely with INCHI to refine this bill. I'd also like to say that we appreciate the previous legislation from the 2021 session. We had 10 students to take advantage of it for the fall 2021 and through the fall 2021, spring 2022 academic year. And we saw that number triple to 33 students in the fall 2022-2023 academic year. And so we expect that this legislation will create even more opportunities for students. We expect our numbers to continue to grow, and we look forward to working with this body and with the system for refinement of this policy. Thank you.
And if I could just ask you, do you know what the most diverse university is for number 2?
It is an institution in California. I don't have the name right off the top of my head, but I can certainly get that for you.
Competition, man,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We just
used to be
tripled our.
number one.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, I'm going to go up to, and I say up because I'm looking up at the camera. I know Vegas is down, but down to Vegas. Is there anyone in the room there who wanted to testify in support of AB 150? I don't see anyone walking up, so, oh, wait, here. I spoke too soon. Okay, when you get there, just turn the mic on and identify yourself.
David Gomez, Nevada Peace Alliance president. I just wanted to say I'm in support, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Short and sweet. Thank you. Is there anybody else in Las Vegas who wishes to testify in support? Okay, not seeing any. BPS, do we have anyone on the phone lines in support of AB 150?
Testify in support of AB 150. Please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you. My name is Teresa Melendez, and I'm with Silver State Government Relations. And thank you, Chair Bill Bray-Axelrod, for the opportunity to speak. So I'm calling in support of AB 150, the NC Native American Fee Waiver Cleanup Bill. And we've heard some really great testimony. Grateful for all the people who've shown so much support for this bill. And just continuing to, excited about the opportunities to improve this bill to support more students so that more Native students can have access to higher education here in Nevada. We know that a lot of students stay in the state where they attend college. We want to make sure that we're graduating and retaining the best and brightest Native professionals, and that they stay right here in Nevada. They continue to work for our tribes, our 28 federally recognized tribes and colonies, and continue to serve Native people. One thing I would like to point out is, there's a trend in states adopting Indian tuition waiver bills. And in Nevada, we made state news with the passage of this tuition waiver in 2021. Very proud of that. In practice, we found some loopholes, way to improve it. So I'm grateful to Assemblywoman Natha Anderson on, finding ways to close those loopholes so we can continue to support more students. We know that using a tuition waiver as first dollar in is most effective and is the best practice. We'd like to see that change move forward. We'd also love to see where all natives who call Nevada home eligible to take advantage of this fee waiver. And when we talk about Indian tuition waivers, something that's unique in the conversation when talking about tribal sovereignty and Native people, we often talk about Native people as a political group. So Native people were not just racial or ethnic groups, but political groups in this country. And when we think about Indian tuition waivers, land grant institutions, that land was taken from the indigenous people of the state to help support education for, at that time was predominantly white men. And so I think when we think about Indian tuition waivers, I just want to remind folks to think about what still can be done to help, heal the relationships between the indigenous people of the state and our institutions, throughout the state. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and just following up on support for this bill. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. BPS, is there anyone else on the line in support?
Committee for your consideration, and I'll just excerpt from my written statement to say that AB 150 is a compassionate corrective to a very good existing law, and that
Unfortunately, you are breaking up. I think you said that maybe you had, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And I just want to say, I'm sorry, Nevada Faculty Alliance from Southern Nevada, we're very strongly in support of the bill. And I'm
Great.
sorry for the breakup.
No, not
So,
at all. It
thank you.
happens. Thank you. Thank you for the call. BPS, anyone else in support?
Go ahead, caller. Caller with the last three digits of 304, you can start. Chair, it seems we have technical difficulty with that caller. I'll try another one.
Hello, thank you, Chair and Committee, for the opportunity to speak. Hello, my name is James Phoenix. I'm the chairman of the Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe in Northern Nevada. I'm also an alumni of the University of Nevada, Reno, and I am in support of the amendment of AB 150. Why? It allows Native American students who have been a resident of our great state of Nevada and surrounding states and who reside on qualified tribal lands, whether located within or outside the boundaries of our state, and any combination thereof, to go to school and at one of our institutions to earn and achieve an education just like everybody else. You've also heard good testimony today from Marky Wilder, our Pyramid Lake tribal member, who provided an overview of the issues and opportunities for the Native students. Therefore, please take the time consideration for our Native American students now and in the future. And in closing, I want to thank all of you committee members and your time and efforts. And I propose by Assemblywoman Anderson, and I support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, for calling in. BPS, is there anyone else on the line in support?
Caller with the last three digits of 101, press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, caller.
Good afternoon. My name is Lori Tom. I'm a citizen of the Yerington Paiute Tribe. I'm calling in support of AB 150. I believe that this bill is very important for the future generations of our Indian people, and I was lucky enough to be able to testify on this bill when it first came through and came into fruition. I appreciate all the legislative workers and the elected officials to support this bill. I believe that the amendments that are being done are just cleanup verbiage, and I would support that the language from Assemblywoman Anderson being presented to you be approved. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And BPS, I'm under the assumption that we have one more caller and we are right up against that 20 minutes. So we'll take that last caller and then we will move on to opposition.
Caller with the last three digits of 304, press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
We can hear you, caller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Warren Graham. I'm the tribal chairman for the Duckwater Shoshone Tribe. The Duckwater Shoshone Tribe supports the amendments as submitted by Assemblywoman Anderson in regards to Assembly Bill 150 of the Nishi Native American Fee Waiver Cleanup. The access to higher education and the costs associated are barriers for the Native American students who typically suffer from socioeconomic disadvantages. This bill provides relief from the stressors associated with sourcing of fundings to college. We hope the committee is strongly considered supporting the efforts being made to strengthen this already historic legislation. Thank you.
So I understand that 3 more people just called in. I'm not sure what to do. We'll go ahead and take a couple more calls. Forgive me, I'm trying to make this fair, but we also have another bill hearing, but our bill presenters doing another bill presentation, so we won't be able to start with that one anyway. So let's go ahead with those next 3 calls, but then I'm going to really be a mom and cut it off.
We are on support for AB 150. If you've just recently joined the call and would like to testify in support, please press star 9 to place in the queue.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello, my name is, hello, Madam Chair. My name is Petra Wilson. I'm a enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux Tribe in Pine Ridge, South Dakota. I have, however, lived in the state of Nevada for about 27 years, and 6 of my 9 children are battle-born. I'm calling in support for this particular bill, and I also wanted to share briefly my own experience as a Native student. I am currently attending a tribal college online. They offer complete tuition waiver. They cover my books. They cover any tools that I need, like a laptop. And without that support, I probably would not be close to graduating with my AA. I was a mother of 9 children, and finances has always been one of those things that's hard to overcome. It isn't always the case where our tribes will completely cover our ability to attend college, and I think this is important as a factor in looking at who we are as Nevada. Many of us are from other nations throughout the country, and however, Nevada has become a home for us, and having the ability to have our children attend locally is a positive note for us as Native parents who are living here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. And I guess the mom threat was very real because the other 2 callers hung up. Okay, with that, we will move on to opposition. Is there anyone in Carson City in opposition of Bill AB 150? I had a feeling. No one is coming up. Anyone in Las Vegas in opposition to Bill 150? No one is coming up. Anyone on the phone lines, BPS, in opposition?
Chair, there are no callers wishing to provide testimony in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much, BPS. And with that, we will close testimony in opposition and open testimony in neutral. Anyone in the room wanting to offer neutral testimony on the bill? Nope. Anyone in Las Vegas wanting to offer neutral testimony on Bill AB 150? Don't see anyone coming up. BPS, anyone on the line wanting to offer neutral testimony on Bill AB 150?
Chair, there are no callers wishing to provide testimony in the neutral position at this time.
Thank you very much. And I see Assemblywoman Anderson is approaching. So any final comments?
Thank you, Chair Bilbray Axelrod, for so much time, also for all the phone calls in. I do have, Director Montooth has provided with me some information about the dual credit, so I will report that, then I'll also send it over to the committee manager. For the dual credit for 2022 and 2023, excuse me, for 2021 and 22, we had 84 students who were able to participate, who self-identify as American Indian and Alaska Native, and then and that appears to be about 115% increase. In 2022-23, it did go down to 63%, so I'm trying to figure, down to 63 students. So I'm going to try to do a little bit more research, so that way when Assemblymember Torres and I get a chance to talk about this a little bit more, we can figure out why. But in closing, I would just like to highlight probably one of the most important people that's in this room today. And it is none of us that are sitting at the dais. It's actually Leanna, who is Marky's daughter, who is here today and has joined her mother for this presentation. I'm not sure exactly how old Leanna is, but this is really what this is about. It is not some words on a page. It is about making sure and ensuring that we're able to provide an education all the way up to 20 for more and more of our students. Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with others to make this a stronger legislation.
Thank you very much. And with that, we will close the hearing on AB 150. And as if, like right on cue, we have our next presenter. So I will now open the hearing on AB 118. This measure revises provisions relating to the Nevada system of higher education. To present this measure, we have Assemblyman Watts and Paul Marakin, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. And is that everyone? Yes? Okay. Then please go ahead when ready. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I am Howard Watts. I have the pleasure of representing Assembly District 15 in the heart of Clark County. I'm a proud graduate of UNLV and the Nevada System of Higher Education, and am honored to now represent the main UNLV campus in District 15. And glad the timing worked out, as I just finished presenting another bill in another committee. So Assembly Bill 118 proposes to reduce the size of the Board of Regents from 13 to 9 members and reduce the length of their terms from 6 to 4 years. The shift is designed not to affect any term or district to which a regent is currently elected to. Section 2 in particular illustrates how the phased implementation would work over the next 6 to 8 years, so future candidates for regent understand how the change in terms and districts would be implemented. I guess I'll just, I won't talk too much about the bill because that really is the summary of what it does. I'll talk a little bit about why I feel it's important. A 6-year term only requires a member of the board to stand for re-election once before they reach a 12-year term limit. By comparison, school boards, state board of education members, county commissioners, city council members, and state senators all have 4-year terms. And I think every member of this body knows how long the term length for an assembly member is. Reducing term lengths to 4 years, I feel, provides greater accountability of regents to the people in line with other public servants, and particularly other public servants in the education realm. Similarly, a board with 13 members is also out of step with governing organizations, particularly those overseeing education. It's substantially larger than any county commission, city council, school board, and the state board of education. Smaller boards tend to be more collaborative, decisive, and accountable. And the hope is that a smaller board will encourage more qualified individuals to serve and enrich the overall quality of the body. Larger boards, in comparison, tend to be more fragmented, and that can lead to providing less effective oversight. Additional accountability and collegiality is needed for the Board of Regents, in my opinion. Members have been the subject of repeated ethics complaints. The board's handling of personnel issues has led to financial settlements and the hiring of outside law firms to assist with potential litigation. Just to name a few recent instances, the former chancellor filed a hostile work environment complaint and received $610,000 in severance pay after a year and a half on the job. Board Chief of Staff Robert Kilroy received a $110,000 settlement and left after 3 months on the job. He replaced Dan Gould, who resigned in 2020 following a scandal. Additionally, the recent audit, which was commissioned by the legislature through AB 416 in 2021, uncovered multiple issues of financial mismanagement, issues that, in my opinion, the board has since attempted to downplay. There have been multiple attempts, including SJR 7 in 2021, which will be before us again, and AJR 5 in the past, to remove some of the board's constitutional status that has been used as a defense to thwart attempts at gaining greater oversight and accountability. And the frustration from this throughout many sessions, including before I have joined this body, has resulted in a level of distrust from the legislature, resulting in cutting funding, not approving projects because there's a lack of trust about how some of that's going to be managed. And at the end of the day, I think all of us recognize that that's punishing students. It's punishing the wonderful educational mission that the system has for the sins or oversights of the board members. So that is, those are the issues that we are hoping to address by, again, providing a leaner and more frequently accountable Board of Regents to the people. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Murat. Before I turn it over, I just want to mention that I had the honor of being one of the co-chairs of the Good Governance Committee in the Southern Nevada Forum, which is convened by the Chamber. The co-chairs are bipartisan, bicameral, and this was one of the recommendations, which is why I am honored to bring it forward for consideration. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Muratkin.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Paul Muratkin with the Vegas Chamber, and I'd like to thank the bill sponsor for facilitating this bill and the dialogue today. As you may wonder why the Chamber is involved with this conversation, is that our members for the last several decades have seen some of the challenges that have occurred in higher education in our state, and it stems from the fact that our organization, as the largest employer organization in the state, believes that higher education every day needs to be focused on our students. And we believe that some of the highlights that Assemblyman Watts has highlighted is that sometimes that focus has been lost. And 20 years ago, in a noble experiment, the Board of Regents was expanded from 11 to 13. And the Chamber's perspective, that board size is not manageable. It has not allowed for greater collaboration. It has instead allowed for a board at times that the public has viewed not to be the most effective. In the last 20 years, you've seen a high turnover of chancellors and presidents of the campuses, and that's a concern to the business community. For our perspective, leadership needs to be stable and predictable, not just for our members, but for our community and our residents and our students. That is one of the most important qualities of leadership in any organization, in this body, in the state, in higher education. Our organization believes that for the sake of Nevada's students, this reform bill must move forward. It is an issue that affects every single one of our institutions, from the university structure, our state college, and our community colleges. It mostly impacts those students who are trying to secure a better career for themselves, and we believe that this reform initiative is important in that process. When you talk about effective governance, and Assemblyman Watts alluded to that, smaller boards typically are more collaborative. They're more efficient. They can respond better to issues at hand. It also allows for better response to those constituent needs, and that's one of the reasons why that bill is proposed in Section 2. It moves it from 6 years to 4 years, and Assemblyman Watts highlighted every single other position in the state except for judges are 4 or 2. And we could not find in our research why it was originally set at 6 years. So for accountability and for accountability by constituents, we believe 6 to 4 years makes a lot of sense. And again, to the points that have been made by Assemblyman Watts, this is a bill that has been, but our community believes is important. We know there will be some folks who believe that this is not the right course of action, but the current method is not sustainable for our students and for our faculty. We understand change is not always the most accepted idea, or can be scary at times for all of us, but we do believe that we have to have the conversation today, and we very much appreciate the work that's done by Assemblyman Watts, and happy to answer any questions for the committee today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, and I believe we have some questions. Let me just get an idea. Okay. Yep, we have several questions. Just because you're right in front of me, Mr. Koenig, you get to go first. The finger went right up. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So mine is actually more of a statement than a question, but I received a surprising amount of conversation from my constituents concerned about that it will skew everything more towards the south and away from the north, especially the rurals. Not to be too flippant, but I don't know that my constituents are the best at math, because at this point we have 3 out of the 13 that represent the rurals. We have 8, 9, and 11. So 3 out of 13 is 23%. In the new proposal, we'd have 2 out of 9. So we would lose a seat, but percentage-wise, that's 22%. So we go from 23% to 22%. So yes, my rural constituents are being underrepresented by 1%, but I think that's manageable. Thank you.
Thank you. Howard Watts for the record. I appreciate that comment, and just would like to note that, yes, there are always some quirks, and that's why we do redistricting periodically to try and readjust that. And regardless of the size of the body, there's always going to be a little bit of a differentiation, but no matter what, the goal is to provide a proportional representation, and we want to make sure that we provide that representation at the same kind of percentage level that exists today. Thank you.
I will go to Assemblywoman LaRue Hatch.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for presenting on this. My question is just about that redistricting. So who would oversee the redistricting, and when would that take place?
Thank you so much for that question. Howard Watts for the record. So there is no redistricting contained in this bill, and again, because of the fact that we do not want to impact the terms to which regents have been elected to this point, the way that redistricting has typically been conducted, the maps ultimately have to be approved by the Nevada Legislature. The Nevada system of higher education has typically held a public process to gather feedback. They have actually compiled draft maps, gotten feedback, compiled final maps based on that feedback as recommendations that are then reviewed and potentially modified and then adopted by the legislature. And so my understanding is that a similar process would take place. However, we would have, in terms of a legislative timeline, up to 2 sessions for that process to take place. But ultimately, maps would come back before this body for approval for folks running for the 9 districts 6 years down the line.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Torres, did you have a question?
Incredibly, I do not have a question.
Oh.
I think that might have been confused for Assemblyman MacArthur, but I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, that's probably what it was. Who had a question up here? Vice Chair Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for the presentation and the explanation. I think I want to just understand. I know we're eliminating four districts, I believe it is, right? And so for those regents that are those numbers, and you have all the what seats are in, that will be eliminated. will those areas just go to an adjacent area?
Thank you for the question. Howard Watts for the record. I can't answer in complete specificity because we don't have maps yet to understand, but similar to when congressional redistricting and reapportionment happens, sometimes this hasn't been a problem that Nevada has had to face in terms of congressional districts, but other states have lost congressional seats. And when those new maps are drawn, sometimes there are multiple members that end up in a fewer number of seats than existed prior, and they have to determine what course of action they're going to take. If they're both going to run, if one is going to run, if somebody new is going to run, and that's how it would get sorted out. So really that's how this is envisioned as happening too. Again, we're going to maintain over the next few years those districts. Again, as we start to phase this in, we're providing complete transparency to anybody running in the future what the terms are, and they do get modified a little bit as we do this implementation. And then once we have the new districts drawn, folks will have to decide what their course of action is going to be moving forward. And if all of the 13 decide they want to keep being regents, then that's going to involve a couple of instances of running in the for the same seat.
Thank you, Assemblyman. And just for clarification, so the effective date of this bill is 2028. So the legislature, in both session 2025 and 2027, would be tasked with performing that redistricting. So I just wanted to get that on the record. Next question. We'll go to Assemblywoman Anderson, then Assemblywoman Moscow.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I really appreciated the comment that was made about how the university's focus should be on students. Greatly appreciated that. And so although this is not in this language, was there any discussion at all about possibly having a student representative on the Regent Board, or is that kind of beyond that? Because I know that there have been some students from up in this area that have shown an interest in that. Just didn't know if that had been a part of discussion as not.
Thank you so much for that question, Assemblyman Howard Watts for the record. I really appreciate that. I am a big believer in student voice. I am personally of the opinion that we should have voting representation for students on bodies that are governing education. That said, that's not contemplated in this, and one of the reasons is, again, we still have some constitutional limitations that need to be sorted out. So just to be 100% clear, this still maintains full election of all of the Board of Regents. I am more than glad to have conversations about the qualifications. Mr. Muradkin mentioned that judges are the only other elected position that serves 6 years. They at least have to be lawyers. But I think that's an additional conversation for us to have moving forward. Right now, we're just looking at some very high-level structural changes that we hope will improve the effectiveness of the board.
Quick follow-up, if I may. Thank you for that thoughtful answer, because that was something that was brought up to me by one of my constituents. So I greatly appreciate that thoughtful answer, that this needs to be a little bit of a longer conversation. And also there are other documents that are governing of our Constitution. So thank you very much for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you so much. Can you just share the background of where the 9 came from and why that was the number chosen?
If you want to phone a friend, I can actually. I was just sending that out to my members. So Asher is not here, but he is here in spirit. So he just wrote to me. So here, two things that we'll put on the record. AB 736 in 1971 was the bill that increased regent terms from 4 to 6 years, and incidentally decreased the number of regents to 11 to 9. Also, the regents were reduced again from 11 in 1971. They were increased back from 9 to 11 in 1991 redistricting cycle, then again to 13 in 2001 redistricting cycle. So seems to be a thing we like to do around redistricting. We just missed it. COVID, man, we missed it by 2 years. So that I sent that around if anybody else wants to see that, but that's the historic.
Thank you very much for that, Madam Chair. Howard Watts for the record. And since Mr. Killian is probably watching, thank you for that background. I think I would just say, again, ultimately, we looked at what are some of the other governing bodies in the state. You know, the State Board of Education, currently 7 members. County commissions are limited to 7 members at this point in time. So even with 9 members, this is one of the larger governing bodies. But I think that we felt that was kind of the number that would be comfortable. And again, there is some historic precedent for the board being at that size.
Assemblywoman Hanson.
Thank you, Chair. Good to see you. I'm sorry I missed out the first part of your presentation, so if I'm asking questions that you already covered, I apologize for the repeat. Do we have I hear you saying that we need functionality. It's been harder to function with 13. Do we have some sort of history that shows that we were more effective when we were 9, but then they moved it up and then they went back to, it seems like we've had a lot of back and forth. I'm just questioning, is it personalities or is it truly the number, in the sense that we see this in school boards, the argument we've had, maybe we go to a hybrid, maybe we have some appointed versus elected. And my question always is, are we trying to solve a personality issue with something that's not going to solve that problem? And then I'll follow up with something else. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question, Assemblywoman Howard Watts for the record. That's a great question, a very valid one. And yes, there are certainly some issues that are personality issues. That is representative democracy, is sometimes folks are elected and they don't always get along. And that's not necessarily something that can be structurally addressed. However, we will follow up because there has been some research done, and we may have some of that discussed during some of the testimony following the presentation. There has been some research to try and figure out some of these things and what are some systematic tweaks that are linked to better effectiveness. And it's been, that research has shown that having a smaller body tends to be more collegial and more effective. Again, I totally understand the issue that you've raised. It's not a guarantee. It all depends on who runs and who gets elected. But in general, there has been some research that has shown that moving to a structure like this provides, again, some greater accountability and actually is more productive.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that, and I'll look forward to that information. And I see a place that we have common ground. Smaller government is always a good thing. So I agree with you that on smaller governing and closest to the people is a lot of times the most effective way. I will, just for the record, my constituency, of course, is nervous about redistricting. I have 6 counties, and any dilution of rural influence is always going to be a concern. Have I been convinced that's going to happen? I haven't been convinced yet, but I will say, on the heels of looking at legislative redistricting, there is ample reason for that concern on the part of the rurals. We saw redistricting in a lawsuit in 11. We've seen redistricting was not in terms of satisfaction for a lot of people with the last one. So I think that that's going to be a hurdle for me to understand. And also, we're talking about this structure, but we don't see maps. So essentially, we're being asked to pass a bill that then we're going to have maps later, but I've got to agree to that now. So anyway, just for full transparency, what some of the concerns of my constituency is. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Howard Watts for the record. And I always enjoy the issues that we do agree on, and there are some. And even when we disagree, we are not disagreeable, which is something that I think that other bodies should definitely learn from. In terms of the concern about redistricting, Assemblyman Koenig brought this up, and again, you're correct, we do not have maps. One of the things, though, that we do have in statute is trying to protect those, that we do the redistricting based on populations. And so I understand that some of the concerns that the absolute number of representatives for an area may change, but ultimately when we look at how many representatives represent rural areas as a portion of the body overall, our redistricting is set up to ensure that on a percentage basis, there's always going to be a certain number of representatives. So putting aside other concerns or disagreements that we may have about redistricting, again, when we look at the proportions of the population and the proportions of the representation, we have a framework in place to make sure that that lines up. And then to your other concern about the maps, I understand that. Again, this is a 6-year implementation process, so these districts aren't going to change in the immediate future. I would say that if you believe, after hearing all the testimony and some of the evidence, that reducing the size of the board and making them more accountable to the voters is a good way to move forward, that then there's plenty of time for us to do what we have done previously, which is to have the system go through a public process to gain feedback from every community in the state about what a 9-district map looks like. And that map will come back before the legislature, where it can be discussed and modified further before being voted upon by this body. And Mr. Moroccan.
Through the chair to someone, as you know, the Vegas Chamber has members throughout the state. And for our perspective, we see this as a statewide reform effort. It's not a Southern Nevada or Northern Nevada rural. And to the comments that were made by Assemblyman Watts, we believe that you have to have rural representation. They're part of our community, our state, and their absolute voices need to be heard. So our perspective is that this is good for all of our communities, our community colleges that serve in our rural communities, of course. So we view this as a statewide reform because we have members throughout the state. And so I just want to reassure you from our perspective, we believe it will benefit the entire state. So thank you.
Thank you. We're good on questions? Okay. Gentlemen, you can sit back. Thank you. And we will open it up for support on AB 118. Go ahead in Carson City.
Francesca Petrucci for the record. I represent the Clark County Education Association. And thank you, Chair and members of the committee, for the opportunity. Accountability, it's become the theme of this session, which we think is a really good thing. CCA is in support of AB 118 as it continues to try to enforce more accountability on the Board of Regents. A successful board is first and foremost focused on student and student achievement, whether it's your K through 12 board or your Board of Regents. And we think that this opportunity moves us in the right direction when it comes to, making sure that the board is focused on what matters. And we also look forward to upcoming discussions around school board governance for K through 12 as it relates to this session. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Gina Bonjovi, founder and managing partner of Bonjovi Law Firm and member of the Vegas Chamber's Government Affairs Committee. I also happen to be a proud UNLV alum, former member of the UNLV Alumni Association Legacy Board, as well as a member of the Dean's Advisory Boards for the Lee Business School and the Honors College at UNLV. I'm in support of AB 118 to improve the way the Board of Regents functions. Specifically, reducing the terms of regents from 6 years to 4 years gives voters the right to evaluate their candidates more frequently and requires the regents to answer for their conduct more than once during their maximum term, therefore increasing the regents' accountability to the public. Additionally, reducing the size of the board from 13 members to 9 will bring the board in line with other organizations which govern schools, counties, and cities. From smaller boards, we have seen more decisiveness, accountability, and collaboration. This bill will create a more nimble and collaborative board better able to work with the community toward our lofty goals related to higher education across the state. I would like to thank the bill sponsor for bringing this important measure forward, and I thank the chair and the members of the committee for their time.
Thank you. Mr. Hardy?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Warren Hardy, today representing Nevada Health and Bioasset Corporation. NHBC is a support organization for University of Nevada, Las Vegas. We built the medical school, and we're very proud of that. A strong higher education system is extremely important to our mission. We've seen a lot of success on this in the past couple of years with regard to what we've been able to accomplish. But we believe this bill's essential to continue us on that path towards strong coordination on higher ed. You know, I first entered this building, I don't want to date myself, but 1991 was my first session here, and I've noticed, you know, the higher education system, the higher education process in Nevada, it was designed by our framers. I wasn't here when they framed the Constitution, but shortly thereafter, was designed to be a collaborative effort between the legislature and the Board of Regents. In fact, the legislature creates the Board of Regents. That's what the Constitution charges you all with doing. And I've just watched over the course of that 30 or so years as the legislature sort of quietly slipped to the background in that effort. And that's not right. The legislature is the one that holds the purse strings. The legislature is the one that should hold the accountability. And in order to get accountability started, you have to start with accountability to the people. And really, this bill, I believe, is a start. There's a lot of work left to be done on this with regard to getting the legislature back in the co-pilot seat on higher education in Nevada. But this is a start, and on behalf of the Nevada Bioscience Corporation, Health and Bioscience Corporation, we recommend your approval. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else in Carson City in support of AB 118? Okay, not seeing anyone. Anyone in Las Vegas? Oh, here we come. Just fill up those chairs. Looks like we have two folks, so just identify yourself and begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Maureen Schaefer, and I'm the Executive Director of the Council for Better Nevada. I am here in support of AB 118. This bill seeks to increase accountability over the NG Board of Regents, and we support this bill because in all aspects of the operations and success of public, private, and nonprofit organizations, governance matters. We know and understand that fact. When it comes to the business of higher education, the professionals in this sector have been watching the trends and no major shifts are beginning to occur. U.S. birth rates are beginning to decline for the first time in decades, and college and graduate applications are for the first time beginning to decline. This means the fight for students will increase among institutions across Nevada and the U.S. writ large. In addition, for the first time, the top 20 universities worldwide, which have always been U.S.-based, now have two international universities in those rankings. The world is catching up to us in competitive higher education offerings. Here in Nevada, what are we doing with a board and system that have failed to police itself, has been the subject of repeated ethical complaints, and has largely become a system of people we let control us who clearly have no business being in control. To clarify, there are very good and qualified people who have been and are regents today. However, when you have a broken and corrupt system that attracts certain types of people and caused good and qualified people to perform poorly, it is incumbent on the rest of us to change the system. Otherwise, the outcomes will never return the ROI we expect for the vast investment we make for our students, families, and economy, no matter who we ask to serve within that archaic governance model to do what we expect it to do. AB 118 begins to modernize that governance model. The world is changing around us and will continue to do so. Most states already have a different higher education governance model and are already ahead of us to take advantage of the changing demographics happening today in the world. Please support AB 118 to enable Nevada, its limited dollars, our students, and economy to benefit and keep up. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next.
Hi, Lindy Schumacher. Sorry, this thing's a little goofy. We are, I guess I will speak on behalf of the donor population of Southern Nevada. We are in support of AB 118. Smaller boards equal more effective boards, more transparency, and more accountability. Unequal treatment of the donors of this town by the regents has pulled down the students. Unequal treatment of the leaderships of this community has pulled down the students. For a group of people that say everything they do for the students, that's all they've done is done damage that I can see in the South. I'm going to use my one, and I have hundreds of examples, but why don't I just use one? The NHBC, the building of the Kirk Kerkorian Med School. The regents told us that we didn't need it. They told us that we couldn't build it. And then they told us they would not allow it. If I were sitting here today and I took those words to heart, we would not have a med school. Instead, we built it for $125 million. The regents told us it would cost $280. We provided our anonymous check and they displayed it. They embarrassed us. They humiliated us. They made this near impossible, and we kept coming back for the community, for the students. No one says for the students and actually means it, except for this donor pool that keeps pulling up their bootstraps and continuing to support what we need to support. It shouldn't always be a workaround. Why can't we work with our university? We can't work with our university because we have to work with the regents. It's exhausting and it's sad, and there has to be a better way to do this. I'm going to leave you with one example. After putting in $100 million to build this building that cost $125, and then the rest of the generous support came through the state, we asked the regents if we could, we had to ask, which is pathetic, if we could put Mr. Kerkorian's name on the building, if we could put his name on the school. And the response we received from the regents was, you're going to need to give us $10 million. I said, that kind of sounds like extortion. And they said, if you want to put his name on this building and you need our permission, we're going to need $10 million. After giving $100 million, you're going to hold me captive to another 10. That was the deal. We were able to get past that, but after the humiliation, the extortion, exposing the anonymous donor time and time again, it's just been unheard of, the damage that they have tried to cause the people, but let alone the students. It's time for change. I can't tell you that making it smaller is going to make it better, but I can tell you it certainly could make it worse. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in Las Vegas who wishes to testify? Thank you. Shaking your head no. BPS, is there anyone on the line who wishes to testify in support of AB 118?
Testify in support of AB 118. Please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Did I begin?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Colin.
Thank you. This is Chris June Kiliani testifying as an individual in support of this bill. I had a similar piece of legislation back in the 2000s, and I don't mean to be flip, but I started out my testimony with size does matter. And it does, whether it's in public sector or in corporate world. They have done studies over the years that have proved out that the efficiency of resources, there's better guidance, there's coordination, there's communication, there's better collaboration, and overall governance is more focused on what their job should be rather than personality. So I completely support this piece of legislation. I would just urge the committee that back in 2003, LCB Research actually has an excellent study and synopsis on governance of boards of higher education that might be very informative for you. In 2015, I also served on an interim committee that looked at state and community colleges governance. Research has that study as well. And we recommended at a minimum that we explore the idea of setting up maybe an advisory board or someone else separate to oversee the state and community colleges so that their voice does not get drowned out and lumped into a huge behemoth of a university system. So I would urge you to take a look at that part of it. And then finally, there was a hybrid model. I think I had something similar. I put in qualifications in my legislation. Senator Woodhouse carried a similar bill in SB 354 in 2019. It did not pass, but that may be another additional area to take a look at. That one did 9 members. Most of them went back to the 9 members. I understand about since the 1800s, there's been a size. I think it was Senator Raggio did the increase to 13. He was always very passionate about the university system, and especially the UNR area. But maybe as you look and ponder this, there could be some language that says that folks that run for this, if you don't go to an appointed process, need to possess knowledge and experience in higher education, maybe even have attended higher ed, and have backgrounds in businesses and represent the diversity of the state, including geographic regions, gender, and ethnicity. So I think this is a simpler bill, but there's information that's been out there that you have within your own research department that could be very, very helpful. Thank you, Madam Chair, for letting me testify.
Thank you. Always nice to hear from you. BPS, anyone else on the line in support?
Chair, there are no more callers wishing to provide testimony and support at this time.
Great. And with that, we will close testimony and support and move on to opposition. Do we have opposition to AB 118 in the room? I see some folks coming up. If you want to fill up the chairs, if there's anyone else. And go ahead when you're ready. Just identify yourself first.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman and committee members. For the record, my name is Emily Prasad Zamora. That's PERSAUD-ZAMORA, and I'm the Executive Director of Silver State Voices, which leads the Nevadans Count Coalition. And on behalf of the coalition, I'm here to express our opposition to AB 118. 3 years ago, our coalition worked tirelessly to ensure every Nevadan responded to the census and participated in the redistricting process to ensure all communities were seen, heard, and represented in the process. At the time, we took pride in our state's diversity, which, due to the results, ranked us 3rd in the nation. This bill, as we see it, will inadvertently diminish the representation that we've been able to achieve. While we agree with reducing the term from 6 to 4 years, we do not support reducing the size of the board. The reasons mentioned for why the bill was brought forward seem logical. It may improve efficiency and even save money. However, we believe that such arguments oversimplify the issue. The impact of this bill on our community's representation would be detrimental, and we cannot afford to take this lightly. It's worth noting that regions play an essential role in reviewing all aspects of university life. As such, the size of the board is a critical factor in ensuring that all perspectives are represented and that decisions are made in the best interest of students, faculty, and staff. We urge the committee to consider the long-term effects of this bill. Please oppose AB 118. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Janine Hansen. I'm the state president of Nevada Families for Freedom. We oppose this bill. Nevada's population has significantly increased. If you look at the district map of the Board of Regents, you will see that 9 districts are entirely within Clark County. And District 8 is part of Clark and includes all of Elko, Esmeralda, Eureka, Lincoln, Nye, and White Pine counties. District 9 includes Carson City, Churchill, Douglas, Lander, Lyon, Mineral, and Story counties. District 10 includes Reno and Sparks, and District 11 includes Humboldt, Pershing, and Washoe counties. If the number of regents is reduced from 13 to 9, there will be almost no representation for any county but Clark, and perhaps something for Washoe. This is of significant concern for people like me that live in Elko County or live in the rural counties. We do not oppose reducing the terms from 6 years to 4, but we feel reducing the numbers will significantly reduce our opportunity to have access to a regent. We had a regent for years who was actually from Elko County. This bill does not in any way resolve the problems we've heard about the Board of Regents today. The proponents don't even guarantee that it will, because of course they can't. So we hope that you will not eliminate the representation from the rural counties and oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hansen. Go ahead.
My name is Joe Arrascada, spelled Arrascada. Madam Chair and esteemed members of the Assembly Commission on Education, thank you for this opportunity to speak in opposition of AB 118, as the current bill proposed does not provide clarity of the redistricting lines. Also, with the current addition, there will be a disproportionate representatives of regions from Southern Nevada, as previously mentioned. What this means that there may be only one region truly residing in Northern Nevada. One. Therefore, not providing equity. Reducing the Board of Regents would roughly place 389,000 constituents per region. This commission and all elected bodies know the level of responsibility required to be the conduit between your constituents and this legislature. We, too, the 13 elected regents, receive copious amounts of outreach from our constituents, campus representatives, community members, and most importantly, from the students and faculty. The bill's sponsor mentioned numerous unsubstantiated accusations of the past. Yes, the past. Looking at past bodies of elected state representatives, there will always be examples of acrimony. Therein lies the past. We are forward-thinking. We have the foresight to bring positivity to the system of higher education. Hence, as Vice Chair of the Board of Regents for the Nevada system of higher education, I am not in support of AB 118. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and welcome to our Assembly Committee. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Karen Stevens, KarenStepheens, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to voice my opinion. And actually, everyone prior to me has pretty well said it for me, but I just want to add, redistricting makes people very suspect. It hasn't gone well in the past, and I am, and many others are very concerned that the rurals are going to get screwed, and we don't want that. Everything seems to go around Las Vegas, and the rurals, including Carson City, do not get their fair share. So please do not approve this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for the testimony. Anyone else up here in Carson City? Nope. Okay, we will go to Las Vegas. Is there anyone in Las Vegas in opposition? See someone approaching, and I think I know who it is. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon to members of the Education Committee. For the record, my name is Byron Brooks, and I'm the Chair of the Board of Regents. And just so that we're clear, the effective date of this bill, should it pass, frankly does not affect my term. I'd like to offer that Nevada's higher education system is designed to be a process where students are enabled to pursue higher education opportunities. Now, this system is built strategically to offer higher education pathways that support students of all economic and academic standings. The system is comprised of the board, the system office, and 8 higher education institutions. The board is a constitutionally bound elected body that supports and oversees institution policy, fiscal management, student fee structure, and other procedural processes for 8 institutions to increase student access, student success, student experience, community engagement, and campus growth. There are roughly 14,000 employees and over 105,000 students in this system. If we take a look at representation, we recognize that we have 21 senators and 42 elected assembly members from 63 districts to ensure representation exists throughout the state. In contrast, the Board of Regents is made up of 13 members from 13 districts, representing the same amount of folks, approximately 3.5 million citizens in our state. The Board of Regents is always in favor of policy and procedures that support the advancement of economic diversification, higher education access, student success, student experience, campus growth, and faculty and administrative employment. As a collective, the Board of Regents is not in favor of this bill as it does not address nor solve any of the existing system-wide challenges regarding higher education. Thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Anyone else in Las Vegas? Nope. Okay. BPS, is there anyone on the phone lines in opposition of AB 118?
Chair, there are no callers wishing to provide testimony in opposition at this time.
Okay. With that, we will close opposition and open for neutral testimony. Do we have anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in the neutral position? Don't see anyone coming up. Okay, so people are leaving. That you threw me there for a second. No. Busy time in the ledge. Okay, anyone in Vegas in neutral? Thank you. No. BPS, anyone on the line in neutral?
Chair, there are no callers wishing to provide testimony in the neutral position at this time.
Okay, and we have lost our bill presenter, so I'm going to assume that we will not have any. Paul, did you want to come back? No, Paul's shaking it. See, I was trying to help Paul, and can't even give a guy a break. I'll go ahead and close the hearing on AB 118, and I thank everyone for being here. So the next thing on the agenda is public comment. Reminder, members of the public can call, they can come in person, they can provide public comment telephonically, or they can submit public comment up to 24 hours after the meeting. For those of you wishing to provide public comment, if you're here, please approach the microphones. Each person has 2 minutes. Clearly state and spell your name for the record. Is there any public comment before I keep going in on the rules? Anyone? Okay, don't see anyone. Anyone in Las Vegas wishing to provide public comment? BPS, anyone on the line wishing to make public comment?
Chair, the public line is open and working, but there are no callers wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Okay, well then, we will say our next meeting will be Tuesday, March 7th at 1:30, and this concludes our meeting for today. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.